Hey y'all, how are you doing? I'm great. Thank you so much for asking. It's me, Kim, and I'm back for another video. This is another live video because honestly, I am not going to dedicate a real sit down video to Wendy Williams. I'm just not. But y'all told me to watch the Wendy Williams movie and the documentary because it was messy. And y'all know I love mess. And I watched them yesterday and I thought, oh, there's some stuff here to talk about. So we're going to get into it. The first thing I wanted to note is I got these stickers. They say, I'm great. Thank you so much for asking. They're stickers. I'm great. Thank you so much for asking. And I thought about like trying to sell them, but like, no, I don't want to do that. So what I'm actually going to do is I am going to give a pair of stickers to the next 100 people who sign up for the Patreon for memberships, and I'll just send them to you with a little note, and I'll get rid of them that way. So thank y'all so much for being patrons. Thanks for being members. I appreciate you. Thanks to everybody who's bought merch. So many people have bought merch recently, like the freaking, this is the Black Women Aren't Here to Save You merch. Love it. Oh, here. Such a cute color, hunter green. Love it so much. Literally so many people have bought that. So thank y'all. I appreciate y'all so much. First of all, not me giving you like news anchor. Am I not giving you evening news right now? So let's get into it. First of all, I'm a little late because I've been trying to figure out how to incorporate my clips without getting caught up in the copyright stuff. Because, you know, Kimberly loves the clip. So it's not going to work. So I'm just going to play really, really, really short clips from the documentary. That's what we're going to do. Okay. So let's get into it. Wendy Williams. Wendell. Actually, let me not go into that. That's problematic. If y'all watch Queen's Court, y'all know what I'm talking about. Wendy is a rich text, okay? And I love a rich text. I love a complicated woman. I love a complicated figure. I just feel like women in general, but Black women in particular, are not allowed to be villains. Like we're supposed to be like perfect and like perfectly feminine and well behaved, and if we're not that, then we have to pretend like we're gonna uplift everybody like Oprah. We're supposed to be the spiritual guide, and Wendy is not that. She likes mess and she is a mess, and I appreciate that. I do actually think that the way that she has positioned herself in public is path breaking. It is, and she understands the role that she plays in contemporary pop culture, and she understands that she deserves a lot of credit. And sometimes it comes off as like a little like, but she's right. She does deserve a lot of credit because that is new. It is new. She's had a remarkable career. I like a woman with chutzpah. I like, after watching this stuff, I was like, oh, okay, this is a woman who was like, I'm going to be successful by any means necessary. Love that. Relate to it deeply. She says wild stuff, certainly. And I like Wendy a lot. First of all, I've said before that the Wendy Williams show is the shade room for middle-aged women. Like my mom watches the Wendy Williams show like religiously, and like that's how she keeps up with pop culture. And I deeply identify with being somebody who is pop culture obsessed, though we have different politics. Okay. If you watch the Wendy Williams show or listen to Wendy, she is a misogynist. She is homophobic. She is transphobic. Like, it's all the isms, right? It's like, you know, colorist and don't like natural hair, like just real retrograde. But again, people are complex, people are complicated, and she is definitely that. And something I've been thinking about is recently I saw somebody talking shit about me on Twitter. I know I need to disconnect from people talking shit about me, but and somebody said, being a good talker is not a skill. And I'm like, yes, it is. Yes, it is. Being a good talker is a remarkable skill. And Wendy is incredibly skilled at that. It's like, you know, we're in this era where everybody has a podcast and everybody wants a YouTube channel and everybody wants to be a public figure because of the market imperatives. Like people feel like if you want to make money, then you have to be a public facing person. But this ain't for everybody. Everybody does not have a compelling personality. Everybody is not a good talker. Everybody cannot make really mundane celebrity mess seem interesting. And Wendy is exceptionally good at that, right? Like everybody has a podcast now. How many of those podcasts are good? And then beyond good, how many of those podcasts are great? Very, very few. So one thing I am not going to tolerate is I think we should definitely come down on Wendy for the stuff she gets wrong, but I am absolutely going to give her credit for the stuff she gets right. And she is freaking talented. Like, come the freak on. And Wendy knows good content. She freaking knows. So she was the executive producer of the documentary on Lifetime, which was compelling, and of the movie on Lifetime, which was not. But something that I will give her credit for is she understands that we want to see the mess. We want to see the drama. And particularly in that documentary, she gave us the drama. I appreciate that. Oh, you know what? Shoot. Let's talk about good content. This is a clip I forgot to pull up, but we're going to pull it up. You know what I think is the most iconic radio interview of all time? Wendy and Whitney Houston. Oh, we need to pull that up. Let me pull it up right now. Let me get the screen share on right now, because that is what we are going to play. We're going to play 2 minutes of this because it's good. It's 28 minutes, but we're just going to play 2 minutes. Okay.
As far as you stand with drug use, is there drug use going on at this present time?
Who are you talking to?
To you, Whitney. Yeah.
No, you're not talking to me. I'm a mother. Only my mother has privy to that information. You talk to your child about that. Don't ask me those questions like I'm a child. You talk to your baby about her, what she gonna be confronting and what she gotta deal with.
And
don't ask me like I'm a child, and I'm not a child, Wendy.
My child is a little boy, and I will talk to him about drugs.
Don't talk to me about that shit. Don't talk to me about that shit.
But listen, Whitney, I will talk to my son about drugs, because I have been where the world speculates where you are, which is, I was a full-blown cocaine addict, so
not mine. Move on.
Well, you know, that was my problem, Whitney.
Did you ask God to help you?
And no, I managed, thank God, because I have a good man. And so thank God I was able to just rise up above it and quit. And all I asked for this. Okay. And you on Diane Sawyer also mentioned that you'd want to see receipts behind the drug use.
Man, if I spent that much money, somebody would give me the receipts on your tax return.
Well, speaking of spending money, so recently I was hearing that you were trying to trim the budget, which, by the way, Whitney, I thought that this was something
where the hell are you get information? Who's calling you and telling you?
Well, I got this story from a gossip named Steve Hers. You ever hear of him?
No. Well, like you said, gossip. Yeah.
Steve Hers is a West Coast correspondent, and I communicate with all the different gossips. It's what we do, you know.
Maybe it's gonna have a gossip lunch, huh?
Something like that. Anyway, Whitney, they're saying that you're doing some massive budget cuts.
I'm doing massive changes.
And you know what? Yeah. I wanted to let you know that this is something I think is good. This is a good Whitney thing.
You like it? You approve? Yeah, I approve.
Oh, Whitney, please. Listen, that we're saying that you cut your mother's
you don't know what that
allowance.
You don't really curse on the radio. I'm not trying to be, come on.
Well, Steve was saying it was from about like $1,600 a week to about $500 a week.
I want you to kiss my.
Okay. He also.
Anybody else ever think I do that to my mother? You low down dirty.
He also was letting me know that.
Okay, we're gonna stop it, but it's so good, you guys. It's so good. Just freaking watch it. I mean, listen to it. It's 28 minutes. It's so freaking good. But that is like, first of all, just amazing content. Like Kimberly, content brain Kimberly, like I'm always trying to think of, I want to make things that are educational and that people will like, and I want to expand people's brains and I want to teach them. But fundamentally, I want to make good content, okay? And so I just understand like the machinations, like the stuff that's going on, that must have been going on in her head while that was happening, because it's just so much gold It's just so good. And R.I.P. Whitney. Like, Whitney was obviously strung out at that time. But also, you know, Wendy has some substance abuse issues herself, you know, even though she says, but whatever. So anyways, what I'm trying to say is a literal genius. Like, everybody cannot do that. So let's be honest about that. We're going to talk about the documentary first. So attaching this to knows good content. What is it? Wendy Williams is an executive producer on the documentary, on the movie, and the documentary was a lot. It was more than I would have shown, but maybe not more than I would have shown as somebody who understands good content. Like, it really delivered. And it's clearly orchestrated, right? Very cleverly orchestrated, because we see her breaking down, but we also see her in the documentary setting clear boundaries, saying, you know, just being a mess and crying all the time, but then also saying, I already talked about that. I'm not talking about that again, right? When talking about her lymphedema. Okay, I'm gonna try to play a clip. And hopefully it doesn't get flagged. Okay, we're gonna play a teeny little clip of this. Okay, clip 1, share audio. Just a little.
And I don't want sympathy from anyone. Don't feel sorry for me. It's just that, you know, through the years, if you've watched me or listened to me enough, you know I'm an emotional person, and I've never been scared of sharing my vulnerability. But
okay, that's it. That's all I can do, because they're going to take this video down and I cannot have that. But basically, this is the thing about when you are a public person, the way that Wendy is a public person, what she's very clearly practicing here is strategic vulnerability. It is, I'm going to allow you in. I'm going to break down and be a mess, but I'm going to be a mess on my terms. I also feel like, and I've said this before in public, Will and Jada Smith practiced strategic vulnerability. I practice strategic vulnerability, letting people in as much as I want to let you in, but there are lots of things that I don't present to the public, right? People think, oh my God, you share so much of yourself, and how do you feel that way? And I'm like, the shit I don't say in public, there's like, it's so much more. But I understand people want to feel connected, right? That's like being a public person 101. Particularly in 2021. So she was breaking down, and I knew, and by the way, that's at the very beginning of the documentary. We start with Wendy laying in her Manhattan skyrise apartment, breaking down. And that's when I knew we're in for a wild ride. We're in, buckle up. And we see Wendy repeatedly trying to say, oh, I'm okay. She's not okay. She's not doing great. And I was like, okay, so how much of this is a performance, and how self-aware is Wendy Williams really? Because as a person watching this, she's not okay. But does she know she's not okay? Does she have people in her life to say, you're not okay, you're not doing good, you know? And I also have thought about like her child, who she has gone so far to protect, and he's in his early 20s. And I wonder, like, is he able to be like, you're not okay, you're not doing well right now? Like, truly, I think we might need to be concerned about Wendy Williams's mental health right now. It's definitely, she's not doing well. And she even has said, I'm my own best friend. And I thought, ooh, red flag, this lady is isolated. So when the title of this video, let me stop the freaking. The title of this video is Wendy Williams is a Cautionary Tale, because I feel like I relate to Wendy, like, in a lot of ways. And seeing her made me really reflect on how I am moving through life and how I am navigating this career. And for me, the biggest thing that I took from watching that documentary is that lady is really, really successful. She's also really, really lonely. She seems extremely isolated. And so when I was watching that documentary and I was watching the movie, I was like, oh, I need to text my friends. Me and my friends have a weekly Zoom. I need to get on the weekly Zoom. I'm spending too much time talking to these men, right? Like, let me actually talk to men less and invest more in my female friendships, because we need people. So when Wendy is like, I just need myself and I'm my own best friend, and you're looking at her life, which looks, she's really, really rich, right? And people want to have her money, and lots of people would want to have her career. But do you want to live Wendy Williams's life? From what we've seen, I don't know what happens, but from what we've seen, I don't want that life. That life does not look fun to me. So anyways, these are all of like the trade-offs that we're making. And I think some of those trade-offs are not necessary. You know, some of those sacrifices are not necessary. Those are just sacrifices that you make when you're not mentally healthy, I guess. Yeah. So anyways, we absolutely need other people. And I really realized after watching that documentary, we got to let these men go. We got to let these divest from men. I'm going to be honest with you. We can't. Okay, let's move on. So I've said before, the documentary is way better than the movie. The movie was so low budget and boring. And I really just feel like we got a better feel for who Wendy is in the documentary. And I think her mom recently died, right? And so we get some clips with her parents where her parents are talking about her early life and who she was. And something that I got from her parents talking was they have no idea how badly their parenting damaged her. Have no idea. And I say this all the time. If your childhood is fucked up, the rest of your life is going to be fucked up. And now we have research, right? Now we have like quantitative research that supports that. But like, we need to be doing everything that we can to like make sure that children feel supported and feel good and feel confident, because that creates shaky foundation for the rest of their lives. And we see that when Wendy is talking about how her parents fat shamed her from the time she was a little girl, putting her on diets and saying she would be pretty if she would just lose weight. That dysmorphia has never been shaken. And if you feel judged and not good enough from your family foundation, okay, like from the root of where you're supposed to feel the most secure and most confident, it's gonna be rocky as fuck. And we see that play out. We see, it doesn't even matter. You know, people are always talking about Wendy's physical appearance and like how whatever, right? It's whatever. She never even had a chance to feel good about herself. And so I do feel like what we are seeing is like extreme dysmorphia and extreme low self-esteem. All right. Oh, also, I meant to say another thing I have on here is fatphobia is ruining lives. You know, like people are like, oh, I'm fatphobic because I care. Oh, I'm shaming you because I care about you. It's not true. That is the reason why we need to tackle fatphobia and anti-fatness, because it is literally it's killing people. It's ruining lives. So even if you care about people's health, right, I do think that requires you to care about how your fatphobic comments, how anti-fatness, which is structural, it's not just interpersonal, how that makes so many women, all kinds of people, but I'm talking about women in particular here, extremely vulnerable. All right, let's move on. I really appreciated the conversations that she had about the difficulty conceiving. I thought that was some of the most, touching and like intimate parts of that documentary, where she talked about the feeling of shame and feeling sadness of losing 2 pregnancies at 5 months. And one of those pregnancies that she lost, she actually had to go through labor and birth a stillborn baby. Horrifying, horrific, right? And you can literally see to her when she's recounting these stories, reliving it, right? Like she hasn't necessarily processed that trauma. And that's also where I'm like, you know, when she's like, I'm my own best friend, you need to become friends with a therapist. You need to become friends with a therapist. We're gonna go deeper into that a little bit later, but it feels like we just haven't spent, and by we, I mean her, she just hasn't really spent enough time at 57 really working through these really horrific events. I mean, this is enough to fuck anybody up, right? She talks about sexual assault from a person that she doesn't want to name. Yeah, that it's okay to be scarred by that. And you know, Wendy is of a different generation where they're like stiff upper lip and whatever, and we'll just move forward and success is the best revenge. And it's like, no, like mental wellness is the best revenge, right? Peace of mind is the best revenge. And you're not going to do that just by becoming rich and famous. This is what I would say if I could sit down with Wendy. Okay. What else do I have on here? Oh, Kevin. Let's get to Kevin. Okay, because Kevin is a huge problem. I want to play this clip, but I don't want to get flagged, but I'm gonna try to play just like a little teeny tiny piece of it. Okay. YouTube, like, please be kind. Thank you. Oh, this is not the one, but this is, okay, wait.
You know, some of my producers in my office, and if you've ever seen my office on the after show, it's beautiful and it's cluttered and it's full of really good glamorous stuff. And I really enjoy it in there. And so we're
okay, that's enough. We can't do too much. But anyway, that's her recounting a story of, and y'all, I hope that we are evolving out of this, but there's certainly a generation or two of famous Black women who were making their partners their managers. Please stop do that. Did y'all watch R&B Divas? That was another like undercurrent of R&B Divas too, where women have careers and then they partner these men who don't have nothing going on, and then they make them their managers so that the men can feel like they have something. Please stop. Like, don't do that. Okay. So Kevin became Wendy's manager, and he was responsible for being her bodyguard and being the protector and negotiating all of the deals and all that. And she is talking in that clip about how after she got her show that he just was acting out, you know, like he would be late to the meeting, and he came into that meeting and he was late and he slammed the Rolex down on the table, and this is in front of all of the staff and stuff, and shattered the table. But Kevin don't have no business being there, no way. Why? What are the credentials? Like, no, stop. And then she also says about Kevin, okay, let's try to do another like little clip. I'm so nervous about this. Okay. Ooh, that's not a face. Okay.
for Kevin Hunter, and we both signed it down in the right-hand corner. Mother, out of here. I worked on this. I was a made woman before I ever knew him. And I would have been this without him. And to point him at Kevin, my career was already lit.
Okay, so we're going to stop it. We're doing super short clips because I don't want to be flagged for copyright. Okay, so she meets Kevin when she's in her late 20s. He's in his early 20s. They fall in love. She is a rising superstar. She brings him on. He becomes her manager. And now that was her emoting about the fact that he was so integral to her life. But she's saying, I would have, been who I was without him. Fine. I wish you would have known that before you entangled this man all up in your business. She says, I actually read in an LA Times interview about this documentary and about the movie. She says that it's not just that he was there, it's that his demeanor was fucking up deals for her. That people didn't like to work with him, that he was so aggressive that it scared people away. And so now that he's out of the picture, people are coming to her and saying, we wanted to work with you before, but we didn't want to work with Kevin. This man has been potentially messing up your money for 25 years. It's like, and so then when Wendy comes on here and she's, saying, I was going to be who I was without him and bye, and he's going to miss me. And I'm like, I believe you, right? But like, just think of, and this is again, a cautionary tale. Leave the men out of it. Leave them in the background. Okay? And this is something I think about all the time. Stay in the back. That's the right kind of man. That's why I say, Kamala Harris got the right kind of man. Doug knows his place, okay? Doug will stand quietly on the side. Doug stands quietly in the background. Doug will show up to the Senate swearing-in ceremony and the inauguration, quiet, in the back, has his own career. Is not trying to latch on to Kamala or whatever so that he can, get some sort of shrine. Okay, great, perfect, good white man. Thank you. That's the energy we need. Okay, we don't need the man to be all up in the videos. All right, let's keep going. I thought, while I was watching this, okay, she's talking about how she loves him and she doesn't regret marrying him and all of that. But I'm like, he started cheating really early. She says she saw him cheating while her baby was an infant and she took him back because she wanted her child to be raised in a two-parent home. Okay, you know what? A little cheating, that's fine. I'm a big Esther Perel fan. So I think, okay, a little cheating, a cheat or two, okay, we can work past it. But it's not just a cheat or two with Kevin Hunter, right? So then she sees him, he promises he's not going to do it again. But then years later, she finds out that he's living a full-on double life. Full-on, has a second home, huge home, where his mistress lives, mistress of over a decade, lives in the home. She goes up to this huge home. Her money is paid for. It's her money, marital assets, bought that home. And then spray paints. I'm sorry. Spray paints. Sorry, my mouth is juicy today. I don't know what's going on. She spray paints something on, something on the garage of this huge home that marital assets purchased. And then just continues going on with her life with this man. She doesn't leave. And she says, oh, well, my son, it was almost time for him to go to college, so I didn't want to leave. Huh? What? Why? Like, it doesn't. And also, it's like, do you think that children don't know when their parents' shit is fucked up? You think that I don't know. This is obviously, we're just guessing. But do you really think that Wendy's son, who by that time was a teenager, thought that his parents had a wonderful, happy, healthy marriage? Like, it just, so it's like, at that point, the reasoning that I'm staying with this man so my child can have a happy, stable home life is like, no, you're staying with this man. And maybe that is part of it, right? I don't know what's in her mind. But is that the primary reason? Or are you staying with this man because you're codependent on this man? Because he makes you feel loved and cared for, and you're willing to sacrifice being disrespected so blatantly and so publicly for the feeling of being loved and cared for every once in a while. Now, again, I don't have no psychological credentials, not a psychiatrist, not a psychologist. I don't know anything. All I know is I have, over the past 10 years of doing For Harriet work, had conversations with hundreds of Black women. Hundreds. Like, consumed so much media about Black women, read so many stories. And that is not, it's not a rare story. It is a common story, especially with Black women who have some stuff, right? And I will also say that as crazy as I find that, like as crazy as I find staying with somebody after you realize that they have a whole separate household and they're buying their mistress like Porsches and stuff, I also understand that the fear of being alone is legitimate. I also understand that most of us are never given the tools to navigate loneliness. We're never given tools to navigate codependency, or what do you do when that fear crops up? Because I felt that fear. Now, I think that because I'm in my 30s and I feel good about my life, like I don't succumb to that fear in the same way. And because we have so many cautionary tales like this, like I know that having a bad man is infinitely worse than having no man. Okay, again, I'm gonna repeat. Having a bad man is infinitely worse than having no man. We have countless examples of men who will just drive you into the dirt, run over you, spend up all your money, cheat in public, embarrass you with no shame. I don't need that stress. I'd rather go alone, be alone in bed at night. Okay? At least I'm alone in bed at night knowing nobody's cheating on me. Okay. She also talked about, Kevin's aggression, and she underscores that he was not physically abusive to her, but he was emotionally and mentally abusive to her. I mean, I believe it. If she says it, she says it. A part of me still thinks maybe she's covering for him, maybe just a little bit, but I mean, she says it. I also thought it was interesting when I was doing research on the documentary that Charlamagne the God, who started with, he didn't start with Wendy, but he was on the Wendy Williams Experience for a time, that in the original cut of the documentary, he appeared and he talked about how coercive Kevin was and how Kevin made people feel like he had backed them into a corner and you had no other option but to go with what Kevin wanted. But in the broadcast version, or at least the version I saw, Charlamagne was not in the documentary because he asked to have his portion of the film removed. He asked to have his interviews removed. I thought that was really interesting. I wonder if Charlamagne felt away when he saw who they cast to play him in the movie. Because they played him. They freaking played him so bad with that. So that's another thing. Okay. We've got to leave these men alone. I really do feel like, and again, this is why I feel like the foundation that your family and your parents set up for you in childhood, it's really difficult to shake that foundation. Shout out to, Dr. Nadine Burks, right? Who talks about childhood ACEs, right? Adverse childhood experiences. It really does feel like she was using Kevin to fill a void, using Kevin as a security blanket, and allowed him so much control. What I think is so interesting is this binary that so many powerful, famous, successful women have, where in public it's stand up for yourself and don't take that, and we sisters are doing it for themselves. And behind the scenes, men control everything. They're so isolated because all they have is a man. It is, so freaking common. Anyways, don't do that, y'all. And I have to tell myself, don't do that, Kim. Leave these men alone. Okay. So somebody's asking, where can I watch the documentary? Oh, you live abroad. I don't know. Okay. We're going to try to watch this a little. I just want to watch like a little bit of this. Okay. We're going to try to watch this clip. I'm going to get this taken down. This is going to get demonetized. It's okay.
Kevin.
Content here. So Kevin had a full-on double life. Wendy has these suspicions. She's hiring somebody to track him down. She finds out that he is gallivanting all across the country with his mistress, the mistress of a decade, by the way, long-term mistress. And the mistress is not even trying to be low about it, right? So that picture is from social media. She posts on her social media a picture of herself with somebody else's somebody else's whole husband. You posted up on social media with. Now let me tell you this. This is where I might be a little conservative. I am team close your legs to married men. I am. Now, obviously, the bulk of the responsibility goes on the person who is actually married. Kevin Hunter ain't shit. Obviously, horrible, sociopath, demon. Okay. However, and Sharina and Wendy makes it a point, and I actually appreciated this. Wendy makes it a point to name this woman multiple times in the documentary and in the film. Sharina Hudson is this girl's name. But Sharina knew that this man was married. She knew that this man was creeping around. She knew. And so, no. Okay, fine. It's not your responsibility to keep somebody's marriage together. And we don't know what Kevin was telling Sharina. He could have been spinning all kinds of fairy tales. But she knew that this man was married, and she knew that Wendy was in public talking about how she had a good man and how she's happy to be married and she loves her husband. Like, so let me just say, I don't have a problem with whatever blowback Sharina gets. I don't. And what is the saying? You lay down with dogs, don't be surprised if you get fleas. That's how I feel about that. I wish her baby all the best, because Sharina ended up having a baby with Kevin, and that was the final straw for Wendy. Wish the child the best. Hope the child does not have to suffer any kind of blowback or stigma because of the circumstances of the child's birth. But with regard to the mistress, do what you want, do whatever you want, but there are consequences. So Wendy then went to, somebody says, play carnival games, get carnival prizes. That is how I feel. So all of this is happening, and Wendy is still trying to keep her marriage together, right? Until she finds out that Sharina is pregnant. Okay, so she knows Kevin is cheating. She knows that there's this big apparatus to cover up Kevin's cheating. Wendy is still trying to keep her marriage together. And then finally, in 2018, we see there's that viral clip that goes around where she's on air in the Statue of Liberty costume, and then she faints on air. At that time, she's still with Kevin. Then she says that she was coerced into going to rehab, but she was not an actual alcoholic. She was drinking a lot because she was dealing with Kevin's infidelity, but she was not an alcoholic. Now, I don't know if I believe that. I don't know if I believe it. She said she was forced into rehab. I believe that she might have been forced into rehab. Do I believe that she had no? Right. Well, what we know is Wendy says that she, at that time, when she went to rehab and then was in a sober living facility after that, she did not have a substance abuse problem. But we do know that before, she was addicted to crack and cocaine. Okay. So something that I appreciated about the documentary was I appreciated that she had no kind of malice or anger at the tabloids or at media when they reported on her husband's comings and goings, on her husband's infidelity and all of the drama surrounding that. I really appreciate that she could take it like she gave it. Like, that's hard. And I appreciated that a lot. But yeah, that's basically it. Okay, so reflections on that documentary. Something that I found to be deeply concerning was there was no hints of self-reflection right throughout this. So she was telling us these stories, and it's really high drama, and some of it's really, really horrible, and you feel terrible for little kid Wendy and 20-something Wendy and 40 and 50-something Wendy. But there's no reason to believe that she has done any deep internal work, figuring out why this happened and how we can make sure that it doesn't happen again. Some stuff is beyond your control. You can't control your parents fat shaming you and having all of these deep insecurities for the rest of your life. But can you control the level of codependency that you have on a partner? Yeah. And I think that that's really important. And so we see Wendy now being like, oh, I'm single and I love men. And it's like, but have you worked through your relationship with men, two partnership? You know, because it's like, it's not just all on Kevin. Like, yes, it is on Kevin because he's horrible. He's a demon. But, you know, like, if you haven't done that work, are you leaving space for another Kevin to just slither up on in there, to sit up on your furniture in your high-rise Manhattan apartment? That's not what we're getting. And again, I don't know, right? Wendy could actually really be doing that rigorous work and not having a desire to share it with us, the public. Totally possible. Totally possible. She might be, again, being strategically vulnerable. There's just no, you know, inkling that is happening. And something that I thought about when she was doing this was the sharing stuff. Often, as somebody who shares a lot, and I love it, and it's cathartic sometimes to share, like the video that I made about, you know, hoarding and ADHD, like that's cathartic, and I enjoy doing that. And I appreciate all of the feedback that I've gotten, the positive feedback. Like it's literally 97, 98% positive. I love that. It makes me feel good. But something I have to reckon with is that's not therapy. Sharing the worst parts of yourself, sharing your hardest moments in public is not therapy. Even if it feels good, okay, it's still work. It's still something that you can monetize. It's still something that you can benefit from, right? Like the hard work, again, talking to myself, but also talking to Wendy, the hard work happens off camera, off screen. Okay. And a lot of public people confuse work with therapy because it's so easy, especially when you love what you do. Unloading your stuff in public feels so good and it feels like you're being productive, but that is the beginning, not the end. And what this made me think of was last year on Patreon, I was dealing with this man and like made these videos and podcasts about this man I was dealing with who was just the wrong man for me. Wrong, so wrong. But I was like really caught up in it at the time. And then we broke up. He broke up with me. I mean, broke up is like such a dramatic thing. Like we stopped talking. And I was like, okay, this happened. And somebody wrote under a post when I was like, oh, okay, I'm not dealing with this man anymore. She wrote, you know what, Kim, you know, this was a crazy ride and it was a fun ride, but actually I think that you should wait until things are over to share them. The play-by-play is fun. The play-by-play is exciting and it's compelling content, but actually give yourself some time to process these things that have happened. And then when you're healed and you can come back and do all of the reflection, then you can come back and make content out of it. And I was like, oh, and I appreciated that person so much because it demonstrated that she was sincerely invested in my well-being. She wasn't just invested in consuming the messiness of my romantic life, right? Like she actually was saying like, by trying to keep us up to date with the ups and downs of this, you're actually neglecting how you got into this situation in the first place. And I was like, oh, okay, that's how I know I have a top tier community, a top rate community of people who are drawn to me, because they are not just trying to have me exploit my craziness, right? My own codependency for their pleasure, for their delight. And if you don't have that, which, you know, and I was only able to internalize that because I'm so connected, right? But Wendy is super rich and famous and not into social media like that. So she's not going to be connected in the same way. And if you don't have that, if you don't have people who are willing to tell you like, oh, we need to separate this a little bit, then you're gonna be screwing yourself over. Okay. So somebody said to me recently, like, "Oh, you're gonna be the woke Wendy Williams," and I was like, "No, I'm not." Like, I don't want that. I do not want that at all. Okay, what I saw there, Wendy Williams seems fundamentally unhappy. She seems deeply sad and lonely, and I don't want that. That is not aspirational at all. And the other thing about loneliness and isolation is people make bad choices when they're lonely. You know, you're grasping at, because loneliness is like, it can feel like you're drowning, right? And so when you're drowning and you don't know how to save yourself, you're just like trying to grasp onto anything, and like whatever is closest to you, you try to use it as a life raft. It does feel like that's what she's trying to do here. Okay. I will say, I think Wendy is smart, beyond smart. I think that she is so brilliant and so talented. And I do still respect her. I hope she gets some help. All right, let's move on to the movie. The movie, I don't have a lot to say about the movie because the movie was just bad. It was just bad. And my thought after watching it was, because she shows up at the end of the movie, why even associate yourself with this? Right? Because Wendy is somebody who knows good content. She knows quality work from not quality. Why? Is there anything there besides ego? Okay. It just seems pure ego. And then the ending. Okay. The thing, my issues with the movie. I kind of liked the lead. Her name is Sierra Payton, who played Wendy. She didn't get the voice all the way right, but she tried. Wendy has a really distinctive voice that is, it's New Jersey, and it's like old Hollywood, and it's drag queen. It's very Paris is Burning, and that's really hard to nail. And Sierra tried, but she didn't quite get it. The pacing of the film was off, right? It felt like we were skipping a lot. Some of the like details, the set details were wrong. At one point, Kevin was sitting, leaning on a 2010s style like Rolls Royce. And I'm like, but aren't we in the 90s right now? Why is that a new Rolls Royce? There were other kinds of just like anachronisms in the film where I was like, y'all are not, this is messy, this is sloppy. The ending was horrible, and this is why biopics, well, first of all, we just need fewer biopics anyway. Everybody doesn't need a biopic. But biopics where the subject is an executive producer, where the subject is so immersed in the creative process, are always going to be bad because they're just trying to build a narrative. They're not really trying to tell the truth. They're not really trying to do things that are interesting and new and different. They just want to make themselves look good. And definitely the movie was just us trying to like go with Wendy and have Wendy be the hero. And that was so evidenced by the last scene of the movie where she's in that pink suit and she announces like triumphantly in the boardroom, "I'm divorcing Kevin." And then they all dance. What? What? It was so bad. Y'all don't know that that's bad? Like, y'all scream this and we're like, yeah, this is it. It was not. It was not good. I also had a problem in the movie with the sex scenes. There were multiple sex scenes and they were all horrible. They all looked fake. They were not sexy. There was no chemistry or passion. Why? Just omit them. We don't need to see that. Like, we've seen good sex scenes. I don't want to see that. Okay. But anyways, I like that. I guess, ultimately, I guess I have to be in favor of Black women telling their own stories the way that they want them to be told. So that's a win. I have to say, I love initials and I want like a K necklace, like Wendy's W necklace. Like, I really like that. Is it diamonds? I'm too broke to afford that. Like, I can't afford a diamond necklace like that, but maybe I can get some like crystals. I like that. That's all. That's really it for me. That is all. Lifetime movies are bad, but something about Lifetime. we can see by their investment in programming that is so specifically and intentionally aimed toward Black women, how powerful Black women are as an audience, how powerful Black women are as a consumer base. So it's Lifetime and OWN in particular have gone all in on creating things that cater to Black women's sensibilities. And by the way, not just Black women, because they're not really aiming for me. They're aiming for middle-aged Black women, a demographic that has been historically ignored on so many different fronts. And they're like, okay, are you a Black woman over 50? This is for you. We're going to talk about Salt and Pepper. We're going to talk about Wendy Williams. We're going to talk about the Clark sisters. And it's not top tier content for me, but I know that my mom liked it and my aunt liked it, So just because it's not my taste and my style doesn't mean that it shouldn't exist. And I deeply respect the demographic that they are trying to cater to. That's it, you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Instagram gods. Please don't screw me over. Thank you so much. I don't know who I'm talking to. Like, they're really going to care that I've said this. Again, the next 100 people who sign up for patrons and membership, I'm going to send you these. I'm great. Thank you so much for asking. These stickers. I appreciate y'all so much. Buy some merch. This is fun. I love this, you guys. Thank you. I'll talk to you next time.